Now, one of the buzzwords at this mega AI summit in the national capital is Atmanirbhar AI. Can India build its own self-reliant artificial intelligence model? That's the question I pose Puneet Chandok, the president of Microsoft for India and South Asia. Listen in. We've framed today's debate in a way, or discussion, as life, work, home, creating an Atmanirbhar AI, a self-reliant AI. Is that an oxymoron, given the fact that AI in itself means you're completely dependent on your chat GPT? How do you create an Atmanirbhar world, Puneet, when AI by itself is effectively reducing us almost to slaves of chat GPT or any AI innovation? So I want to start with that. Can you really create a self-reliant AI?
First of all, Rajdeep, thank you for having me. I don't think it's an oxymoron, and I don't think it's turning us into slaves. I think it's amplifying us, and hopefully it'll get us to do a lot more value-adding, interesting work in life. I think back to Atmanirbhar India, Atmanirbhar AI, I think that does not mean that we should build AI in an independent, siloed way by ignoring the world. I think it means two or three things. One, invest in infrastructure, which India is doing, and as Microsoft, we're pulling in $17.5 billion. Second is making sure we've got sovereign AI solutions for India, be it public cloud, be it private cloud, be it co-pilots, but just making sure that we're meeting the demands of India where India needs us to. And then AI eventually is a 5-layered cake, right? You've got energy at the bottom, you've got tokens, you've got models, you've got applications, you've got chips. I think India should take a very, very thoughtful stance on, out of the 5-layered cake, what are the areas where we should really build ourselves, and what are the areas where we should get the best from the world. This is the time to be truly frontier. Every week something else is dropping, and this is the time to both build and get the best from the world. Okay, so let me take off from what you said. The Prime Minister, ahead of the AI summit, seemed to suggest that there were 3 pillars to India's AI push: innovation, inclusivity, and sovereignty. Let's break each of those down. Innovation. The truth of the matter is the United States and China are way ahead of the rest of the world when it's come to innovation. They built the foundation models. Some statistics suggest that 80% of the investment in AI infrastructure comes just from these 2 countries at the moment. Are we therefore playing catch up when it comes to innovation? Or do we, in a way, simply become the back room for what China and the United States are doing and tag along with them? So I think the Prime Minister obviously said this very well: innovation, inclusion, and sovereignty. I would add a couple of things to this. One is diffusion. And Jeffrey Ding had this fascinating book, and he looked at countries that are innovating and countries that are diffusing technology. And he said that countries that are diffusing technology are getting more value out of it. So while the world is innovating, India is starting to innovate. There are a lot of Indic LLMs and a lot of launches happening today and this week. I think India should equally focus on diffusing AI from classrooms to boardrooms, from agriculture to healthcare to enterprises to public sector, and that's happening. So I think that's one thing we should push on. The second is also skilling, and going back to innovation, inclusion, sovereignty. If you want 1 billion Indians to rise with AI, 1 billion Indians need to know how to use AI. And I think that's where we should focus a lot more. So agree with those 3. I would just add diffusion, and skilling on top of that. But surely you need to invest far more in innovation than we are doing. Most Indian companies traditionally haven't invested enough in R&D, and thereby have perhaps lost out at times in a world that's rapidly changing. Do you believe that needs to change as a first brick, in a way, to build an Atmanirbhar AI? No, you're right. It does need to change. As private sector, as enterprises in India, as multinationals, I think we have to add value in the country, and none of what we have has any franchise value unless we're not adding value to the country, right? So we have to invest in R&D, we have to invest in infrastructure, we have to invest in skilling. That's why we're skilling 20 million people in India by 2030. So you're right, all of that needs to happen. But again, I'll just say, listen, while we innovate and push on innovation, don't forget diffusion. Because the more we can diffuse this technology, get it into the hands of every Indian, every company, every public sector institution, I think there's a lot more value there that we should not miss. Which comes to the second I, which is inclusivity. How do you, in a country that is so deeply divided, with such sharp inequalities, make AI truly inclusive? You said AI for 1 billion Indians.
how do you really make it? It sounds great. How do you actually make sure that a little kid in Dhar in Madhya Pradesh is getting the same AI technology benefits that, let's say, a child in South Delhi or South Mumbai is getting? How do you bridge that divide? Or will we have an AI divide like we've had a digital divide for a very long time?
So Rajdeep, I genuinely believe that AI is different from any other technology we've seen. Unlike the Industrial Revolution, where we waited for many, many years to get that technology, AI is here on day one, right? So we've got, like anybody sitting in Boston today or Bangalore or in a small town in India, he or she has access to the same models, same applications. So I think that's one thing, which is we don't have to wait many, many years. And then to your point around inclusion, it's already starting to happen. I'll give you two examples. With the Ministry of Labor, we're building something called eShram. There are 300 million unorganized workers in India who don't know how to create a resume, who don't know how to take an interview, who don't know how to apply for a job. We're creating an AI platform for those people, these unorganized workers, to create a CV, do a mock interview, get ready for a job, and then get them employment. Right? Just a terrific example of embedding AI into systems. And again, AI, unlike other technologies, does not require you to be a PhD. Like, I'm a rusty coder. I used to code 30 years ago. With AI, I'm coding again. English is becoming the coding language now. So I think the ability to get AI into the hands of Indians is much easier than previous technologies. We do have to get our act together. I'm just giving you one-off examples. This needs to happen at a scale for 1 billion Indians to get there, but it's possible.
Which brings me to sovereignty. It's a word which is being used by many. We need to ensure AI sovereignty or certain digital sovereignty. How do you actually achieve that? Because increasingly you have to work with big tech global companies. AI by its very nature cuts across national boundaries. How do I control what an engineer sitting in San Francisco is doing, the information he or she is feeding me, or the AI models that they are creating? Do you believe it's possible to have AI sovereignty by simply creating large language homegrown models? Or is there another way out? How do you create genuine sovereignty over data?
So, Rajdeep, there are two ways to frame sovereignty. You can use it as a code word to slow down, or you can use it as a code word to speed up. And I would obviously say, listen, we got to speed up on sovereignty. And there are two things we should do, right? One, we should build in India, and we're already building in India. So, for example, our co-pilots, which is, I was talking to Mr. Puri about it, the AI agent, all the processing is happening in India. So data privacy, sovereignty, everything that happens in India stays in India. The model stays in India. So one is build in India, meeting the sovereignty requirements, but also get the best from the world. Going back to, like, my biggest challenge is every day something is changing on the models. And if you're not keeping up with the frontier that's happening in the world, we will fall behind. So I would say build for India, and there's a lot of build happening, but also get the frontier from the world. This is the worst time to slow down and use our sovereignty as a way to slow down. In fact, use sovereignty to speed up.
No, so are you saying you build partnerships with the rest of the world? A Microsoft, for example, is a good example. You're transnational. Do you sort of, does a Sarvam AI, yes, which is seen as the government's, in a way, answer to creating a foundational model for India, do you collaborate with a Microsoft, which is a global corporation, and at the same time believe the data is Indian?
The answer is yes. And by the way, I'd like to believe we're an Indian company. We've been here for 35 years. We're as Indian as anybody else. Sarvam is a deep partner of ours, by the way. And the other thing on Rajdeep on this one, right? If the technology is changing every day, none of us have all the answers. Be it Microsoft, be it Sarvam, be it any other multinational, be it an Indian company, be it the Indian government. So the idea is, how do we all come together and build on what others are building versus trying to create walls, right? So this is the time to bring everybody together.
The reason I'm asking this, if you saw in the Union Budget 2026-27, a 21-year-old tax holiday was offered to foreign companies which are going to use cloud services come to India, provided they partner with Indian-owned data centers in India. Now, are we simply therefore going to drive this sovereignty by creating large data centers which the Adanis and the Geos are going to put a lot of money in, billions of dollars? Is that going to build data sovereignty in the truest sense of the word? That foreign company is coming here, it's getting a tax holiday. Is it going to retain the data, or will that data be shared with the people of India? Do you believe that that's the way forward, those kind of partnerships, Indian-owned data centers working with foreign global tech companies?
So the budget announcement on data centers is a terrific vote of confidence for building infrastructure in India. And as I said, we're bringing in $17.5 billion over the next 5 years. The question is, can we even do that faster, bring more capital into it, build more infrastructure, partner with Indian companies, to your point? And Rajdeep, the point here is not just saying, listen, there are some companies who will build this with us. The idea is to build AI infrastructure for every Indian, right? Going back to saying, listen, can we get every Indian access to AI on their mobile phones? That requires infrastructure and capacity, which is what we're building. And then can we serve the world out of India? Right? So obviously Indian data will stay in India, but can we serve Middle East countries? Can we serve Africa? Can we serve some of the South Asian countries out of India, given the infrastructure that we're building? And that's a massive opportunity.
But to build an Atmanirbhar Bharat as it is, the key lies with small businesses, MSMEs, micro industries. The question is, how do they benefit? How does a small business benefit from AI without the high costs involved? Do you believe AI will make it actually easier or more affordable in a way for smaller businesses?
I think there's some work to be done, but if you think about the thesis of AI, Rajdeep, what are we trying to do, right? For the first time in the history of mankind, we are saying we have the ability to create an intelligence, right? Can we use compute and compute to become cognition? Can we create intelligence out of machines, right? That's what we're trying to do. And by the way, every business today is a bundle of intelligence, bundle of expertise, be it a small or medium business or be it a large business. And the idea is, can we get intelligence on tap? Today, if you're a small and medium business in India, you want to solve a problem, what do? You hire people, you bring a team together. We are now talking about a possibility where a small or medium business in India can get intelligence and expertise on tap, right? Can they really get that intelligence or solve the problems or build the business they want to? So that's the thesis of AI. Now, the question is, how do we make sure we get it to the hands of SMBs at a price point that they can afford in a simple way? They don't have technology, they don't have people, they don't have the expertise. How do we simplify this and get this to work for them? Which is where, Rajdeep, a lot more work needs to be done, but we're committed to doing it.
Is there an example that you can give, a successful example where, for example, you managed to work with small businesses or a sector to make it more effective, affordable, and successful?
Lots of these examples, and I don't know if it's a small or medium business. There's a company called Creative Arts Network. They're a small company. They're building content for Bollywood and TV. We're working with them to use AI to build content. And again, reduce the cost of building by 100x, right? And now for an SMB, which is a small business, if you can potentially reduce the cost of building content by 100x, imagine the value that can create, and the more value that they can create, the more content they can get out, and the more business they can generate. So that's just one example, but across industries, healthcare, we're building co-pilots for doctors. Can we get doctors like my most interesting story is, you go to any hospital in India, the senior most doctors are out of time, the junior most doctors are out of work. The junior most doctors are writing notes, right? Can we create a co-pilot so the junior doctor can become as proficient as a senior doctor, right? Can we really give them the expertise, judgment, intelligence, so that they can treat patients and patients don't have to wait? Lawyers, same story. Can we create a co-pilot for lawyers? So I could go on, but it's across the board, Rajdeep. And
because one of the challenges, and this is a question I'm going to ask all my guests on this, is we have a huge demographic dividend. But we also have a large population which is unskilled workers. And the fear remains that as AI spreads, unemployment of those at the bottom of the pyramid will be real. Jobs will go. Is that fear-mongering, or is that a reality that we've got to be mindful while trying to create an Atmanirbhar AI architecture?
So a lot of this is exaggeration, but I think you also have to then kind of just be clear-eyed about this, right? You can't live in a fantasy world. The clear-eyed answer, Rajdeep, is the color of jobs will change. Your job and my job, both will change. And ultimately, your job is a bundle of tasks. For some reason, we've equated work with jobs and titles, but the atomic unit of work is not jobs and titles. It's actually the tasks that you do. And what AI will do, Rajdeep, will unbundle everything you do and unbundle everything I do. And a lot of things that you and I think are work, for example, me sending 50 emails or attending 7 meetings or updating 3 trackers, feels like work, but it's not really work. We know it at the end of the day. I think AI will take that away, which means you and I will have more time to do value-added work, but we also have to really bundle ourselves much better, right? Which is we have to upskill ourselves so that we can really do stuff that is truly value-added. I think the implication for India and for all of us is that we're all living with this industrial age era template, right? Where you learn once and you earn for the rest of your life. My grandfather lived like that. My father lived like that. I'm almost living like that. That will break. We are the last generation to have stable long-term careers. My kids will have a portfolio of things they'll have to do, and they'll have to focus on skills, not jobs and titles. And I can imagine India in the next few years where there's a certain set of tasks that need to be done. people have skills, and there's intelligent matching of those two happening. That's the world we have to prepare for.
That's fascinating. So what you're saying, the real challenge in a way is skilling. Rather than talk about jobs, jobs will come provided you get the right skills for those jobs. Am I broadly correct?
You're broadly correct.
Okay, since you just mentioned the possibility that we may lose our jobs or our jobs will be redefined in the coming years, we've now got AI anchors. So I have a question from you from my AI anchor. Listen in.
You do? Fantastic.
Hello, Mr. Chandok. My question to you is, what are the big advantages of AI and what is the one big concern?
By the way, that's fascinating. I should get my AI to talk to your AI. Hopefully in the next few months, we'll get there. I think the biggest advantage of AI, and that goes back to the thesis, right? It's a remarkable technology. For the first time, we have the ability to create intelligence. And intelligence is the most valuable commodity on the planet, right? Everything of value that we've created as a human species is driven by intelligence. And I'll tell you one quick story, right? The latest models that we have are equating to 150 IQ points. 150 IQ points, right? And let's assume the IQ of this room is roughly 100. Imagine a world where there's 50 IQ points available for you. There's a plug in the wall, you can plug in and get 50 IQ points. That's the power of this technology, right? Now, the question is, how do we get this into the hands of every SMB, as you said, every company, every public sector, every Indian? So that's the advantage. The thing that I worry most about, Rajdeep, you spoke about this, which is not so much jobs going away, but our ability to skill at scale in India. We have to skill 1 billion Indians. As Microsoft, we are committed to skilling 20 million people over the next few years. I don't think that's enough. We have to do more. We all have to do more. But for 1 billion Indians to rise with AI, we need to skill them. They need to know how to use AI. People will not lose jobs to AI. People will lose jobs to people who know AI. And you better be on the right side of that equation. So that's one thing we all have to solve for.
Going ahead, do you think eventually companies will recognize that you can take full advantage of AI without necessarily shedding a workforce?
The answer is yes, if you can skill your workforce, right? And the
if
one
you
thing,
can skill and scale.
Skill and scale, right? I mean, the one thing I tell people around me is saying, if you stop clinging onto your job description, doing what you were hired to do is no longer enough. If your only value add is I can do my work faster, I can do more volume, I can do more efficiency, AI can compete with it. So stop clinging onto the job description. You really have to, and again, when you think about AI, skilling is misunderstood. I would say 3 things. One, you have to learn to think with AI. Every time you're doing something, you have to get AI to work with you as a thought partner. Second, you have to build with AI. And I said, I'm a rusty coder, but I'm coding every day again because English is the new coding language. Like I say, right, you can never get fit by watching others go to the gym. You have to go to the gym yourself. With AI, you have to go to the gym yourself every day. And then finally get AI to work with you like a teammate. The real unlock for us is when you think, when AI moves from a tool on your phone to a true teammate, Rajdeep, somebody who's sitting with you and helping you do your work better versus just a thing on your device. So if you do those 3 things, think with AI, build with AI every day, and then get AI to work with you as a digital colleague, I think we will solve this.
One final question in one sentence. What is the most competitive advantage that India has in this entire AI revolution, as we're calling it? What is the one thing that we have that others don't?
I think India's got the talent. We've got 22 million developers today on GitHub, the largest developer population in the world. We've got digital public infrastructure that we've built, and Mr. Kant is here, right? He's obviously much smarter on this than I am. Like, if you look at the digital public infrastructure in India, if you can embed AI into all of that, be it Aadhaar, be it UPI, and get our developers, we've got the most amount of developers on the planet to really build AI public infrastructure in this country. I think that's something nobody else in the world has.
Well, more power to that, more power in a sense to this large demographic dividend that we have, which hopefully will last at least the next 20 years. And harnessing that, skilling that on scale will be the big challenge in a way to build a Atmanirbhar AI, as we are calling it. Please give a big hand to Puneet Chandok.
Thank you.